Hi guys, and welcome back to another betting predictions video, this time for the 15th of March. We last did a video on the 13th where we got a 75% win ratio, so not too bad. So yeah, just a quick reminder, this spreadsheet, the link to it is in the description, and you can find different codes for different websites up at the top. People have asked me, like, would you classify as a low, medium and high bet? 5% I'd say of your total balance is a low, and then of course same for medium is 10, high is 20. Just to clear that up, so it's different for each person. So yeah, let's move on to the 15th of March. So a lot of games have been postponed due to the ESEA servers, ISP being down or something like that. So I had to completely redo my whole spreadsheet. But I'm pretty sure I've got all the games that are on tomorrow / today up and ready to go, so let's get into this. So Liquid versus Immortals, this is a better 3, and I think that Immortals will take it, but it will be a close game. I reckon it'll be like a 2-1 to Immortals. The maps are undecided at the minute, so you never know. Liquid, of course, if Elige and JDM turn up as well as they do in any other game, then it's going to be a real close game, but I'm going to put the low bet on Immortals in this one. iNation versus Outlaws. iNation have always impressed me, no matter whenever I've watched them. Whereas the complete opposite for Outlaws, they've kind of always disappointed me. So that's why I'm putting the high bet on iNation for in the best of 3. GODSENT versus Spirit. Well, I feel like GODSENT are a stronger team than Spirit, but Spirit are a good Mirage team, which is the map that's being played. But I still think the firepower of GODSENT can overpower what Spirit has, so that's why I'm putting a low bet on GODSENT. Dreamchasers versus Dark Passage. I'm putting the low bet on Dark Passage for this one, on Train. Dreamchasers are a pretty average Swedish side. They have Emilio, the one who got fact banned when he played for like Team Property or something, or cheat banned or whatever. So they've had some decent results recently, but Dark Passage have always been a good team, and especially with the addition of one of the Space Soldiers players, I think it will make them even stronger. And they've had him for a little while now, to be fair, he's kind of moulded into the squad quite well. But it'll still be a fairly close game in my opinion, so that's why I'm putting the low bet on Dark Passage. EnVyUs versus GODSENT in the best of 3 especially. I think this is going to be a victory for EnVyUs in the medium. They've been impressing me more than the G2 Dream Team that's put together from the players of both G2 and EnVyUs. So that's a good sign in this matchup at least. If it was a best of 1, I'd probably put a low bet on EnVyUs, but because it is the best of 3, EnVyUs have a deeper map pool. Happy, I think Happy's been playing brilliantly lately. He's not overlurked, which he used to do in the past. He's kind of learnt that he does need to kind of have a significant role in the round. And of course if Scream gets his 1 taps in, then I'm pretty sure they'll be safe. Fnatic versus Virtus.pro. So this map is Train, so it's quite a strong map for Virtus.pro, but of course it's the old new Fnatic basically, or new old Fnatic. So they have JW, Flusher, Crims, Olof and Dennis, so still a strong team. But against Virtus.pro on Train, I think VP will take this one, as it is one of their strongest maps. But I'm putting a low bet on them. Heroic versus HellRaisers. Heroic really impressing at IEM. HellRaisers been on the fall since qualifying for the Atlanta Major. So I think this one's kind of a self-explanatory one, but I'm putting the medium bet on Mirage because it is a best of 1 on Heroic, because of course there is upset potential in every best of 1 game that there is, so you've got to take that into account. Tengri versus eXtatus. I think I have the odds slightly closer than what betting sites would, just because Tengri have kind of appeared out of nowhere and impressed people. eXtatus, of course, having the 14-year-old Frozen. In the best of 3, I think that eXtatus can beat them. I think it'll go 2-1. I think they'll both win their map picks, and then it'll be eXtatus in the 3rd map to take it. So that's why I'm putting the low bet on them. Crowns versus Dreamchasers on Train. Both Swedish sides. It's kind of it is a really close game. I mean, yeah, I think I've just gone for the favourite team in this situation, put a low bet on them, but it might be good skipping this one. DenDD versus that Southern French side. I'm not going to try and attempt to say the name. This is a best of 1, but the map hasn't been chosen yet, so you've got to give a bit of leniency on that. But this French team is the one that has Devil in it, and Devil formed with his friends. They've had some pretty poor performances recently from what they've played, whereas DenDD have been really strong. Upsetting against quite a lot of teams at the minute, so I thought it was kind of it's a slight gamble to put a medium on a best of 1, but that's what I'm going to do. eXtatus Passage versus Chrome. I haven't bolded the eXtatus Passage, but that's who I think are going to win. On cash, Chrome, before their last 5 games, they really impressed me. This would probably be like a low bet on one of the teams. But recent performances have been pretty shocking for Chrome, whereas eXtatus Passage, like I said before, have been really good. Been more consistent than Chrome, definitely. So that's why I'm putting the medium bet on them, on cash. Crowns versus Vexilla. I think this is going against the audience kind of picks, but I think the favour is still slightly in Vexilla's favour. They played a couple Mirage games recently against Royals and Tengri, actually, and they won both of them 16-10. Tengri, very strong team to say the least, so I think Vexilla have definitely performed on this map recently. So I'm putting the low bet on Vexilla to beat Crowns. Heroic versus HellRaisers, I kind of touched on this one recently, but this map is Train, which is a fairly strong map in HellRaisers map pool, but of course Heroic are also good at it. I've just put the odds a little bit closer and instead put the low bet on Heroic, just because HellRaisers have the higher potential to upset on this one, just because of it being Train. VP versus Fnatic. This one's on Mirage instead of Train. So I still think VP are the favourites in this one, but of course Fnatic on Mirage is still a fairly strong team, especially if they get the Angels, which Mirage is kind of a map for. So I'm putting the low bet on VP. Tengri versus Gambit. I would normally do best of 2s like separately, like per map, but we don't know the map yet, so I think it's a bit of a risk to try and bet on each map if I don't know the maps, if you get what I mean. But I still think that Gambit are going to take this one easily. 70-30 in favour of them. Medium. Before the last couple of games, Gambit have been playing pretty shocking, not playing up to their kind of potential. But they've started to pick it up recently, so that's the reason why I'm going medium on Gambit. Nip versus Kinguin. This is going to be an interesting game, just because it's Nip's first map with Draken instead of Pith or Pit or Pite or whatever you want to call them. So I think with Pith or Pyth, yeah, you know what I mean, I probably would have put the medium bet on Nip, but just because Draken will be testing the waters a little bit, I think he was a stronger player than Pith, but I don't know how he's going to fit into the Nip lineup at the minute, so these two here are basically just test bets, to say the least. So I'm just putting them on low. on both Cash and Train. Astralis versus North on Overpass and on Nuke. I'm surprised if it got down to these two maps because these are very strong maps for Astralis, probably the two strongest in their map pool at the minute. So I think that in itself is a reason to bet medium on Astralis in both. Of course, current major champions against the North side that hasn't looked amazing. I mean, they look good against Kinguin, but Kinguin aren't really a top tier EU team. They recently lost to Mouse Sports twice in a row, 16-8 and 16-5. So I don't think they're really going to perform against Astralis in these two maps. DenDD versus Winterfox. This is another best of two, but we don't know the maps yet, so I haven't bet on the individual maps. But I'm putting a low bet on DenDD, just because I feel like DenDD are the stronger team, but Winterfox always have this tendency to somehow upset. Even when they don't look like they're performing very well, it doesn't really make much sense. But yeah, DenDD, a strong team. They just split a series with Misfits, 1-1. So I think they will take this one in the best of two against Winterfox, so I'm putting a low bet on them. So that is everything for the 15th of March. I'd like to thank you for watching, and hopefully you watch my next video.